Our main story tonight, Pope Francis has officially awarded sainthood to the late Salvadoran Archbishop Oscar Arnulfo Romero. The ceremony was witnessed by thousands in St. Peter's Square in Vatican City. During El Salvador's brutal military dictatorship, Romero called for an end to human rights abuses. He was murdered 38 years ago by a death squad as he was giving mass in the capital city of San Salvador.
It's wonderful that among today's newly canonized saints, we have Archbishop Romero, who fought for people's well-being to the point of giving his life to protect the lives of those less fortunate. He always remained close to the poor and to his pilgrims.
Citizens from all over the world traveled to the Vatican to witness the historic event.
This was a unique experience. It's still hard to believe for us Salvadorians that our beloved Archbishop, who was murdered back in the 1980s, is now a saint. We never thought this day would come.
Archbishop Romero represents the fight for people's rights, the love for one's homeland, the call for justice. He was a man who gave everything without expecting anything in return.
Our correspondent in Vatican City, Eduardo Marin, has more details.
St. Peter's Square is almost empty now compared to the thousands of people that were present this morning for the canonization ceremony of Archbishop Oscar Romero and 6 other religious leaders. Followers had to wait 7 months to see Archbishop Romero be given sainthood by the Pope, who made the official announcement back in March. More than 7,000 Salvadorians came to the Vatican to be present in this religious ceremony. Some of them told us they were full of joy and happiness, especially when Pope Francis talked about Romero's fight for social justice and his achievements. This was a historic day for El Salvador and for the whole of Latin America.
That was Eduardo Marin from the Vatican. And hundreds of Salvadorans gathered to celebrate this canonization. They filled the streets of capital San Salvador to watch the event broadcasted live on a large television screen at the Gerardo Barrios Square. The Salvadorian Archbishop dedicated his life to serving the poor. He was also committed to the fight for social justice.
I'm proud that a Salvadorian prophet is canonized because it is something historical that may not happen again in our country.
This is a very important moment for Salvadorians to take away examples of how Monsignor Romero served to the people, to be able to choose and always defend the causes that are trampled by people who want to be above everyone.
Moving on to Argentina, where the 33rd Annual National Women's Summit has taken place this weekend. Our correspondent in Argentina, Sabrina Roth, brings us more on this summit where thousands of women gathered to promote reproductive health programs, legislation against gender violence, and the decriminalization of abortion.
During the 33rd National Women's Summit in the city of Trelew, participants staying in a local public school say they were targeted by a group throwing stones at them. They say the police were nowhere to be found. Robberies have also been reported. Organizers of the summit sent out an official statement condemning the local government for not following safety procedures to guarantee their safety, although assurances were given but not followed. They hold Chubut's governor responsible. Participants say under these circumstances, progress is very difficult.
That was Sabrina Roth from Argentina. And we spoke to lawyer and political scientist Nancy Medina about the National Women's Summit in Argentina. Here's what she had to say on the impact of the women's movement.
That women's movement have a huge impact on society, and when you have that kind of when the social movement have that kind of impact, of course, it influence on public policies and in the government agenda. That's why one of the main reasons that this year was treated in the Chamber of Senate, the decriminalization of abortion, for example. So I think the women's movement in Argentina are a really rich movement. And
coming up, more stories. Meanwhile, you can follow us on Twitter at Telesur English and my personal account at Carla G. Telesur. We'll be back. Welcome back. Over 2,000 Honduran citizens started to walk with the hope of crossing into the United States. Many say increasing violence and decreasing job opportunities are the reasons they decided to migrate. The plan to cross a total 2,000 kilometers filled with dangers, both natural and human-made.
There are a lot of shortages here and a lot of crime. We cannot live here anymore.
Last year I went to apply for a visa and they didn't give it to me. They denied it. So now I will take advantage of this opportunity to see if I can do it.
In Brazil, the streets of Sao Paulo filled with supporters of presidential candidate Fernando Haddad on Sunday. Marchers showed their support for Haddad as he's running against far-right candidate Jair Bolsonaro. Since Election Day on October 7th, violence and political persecution against supporters of the Workers' Party has increased. And Haddad has accused Bolsonaro of fostering violence. Violent incidents linked to Bolsonaro supporters have been on the rise in various parts of Brazil. Early this week, a man was stabbed to death in a bar for reportedly shouting in support of the Workers' Party. And a transgender woman was badly beaten by Bolsonaro supporters on the streets.
He always incited violence. He has a lifetime of inciting violence. This is a person whose hero was one of the biggest torturers on the continent. There is the person who's leading the opinion polls, but he will lose.
Tensions have erupted during an opposition protest in Nicaragua. The country has been under political turmoil since mid-April when anti-government protests first started. The government is now saying that it has been looking to start talks with the opposition to put an end to the crisis.
They have bloated Nicaragua. They have kidnapped Bismarck and keep calling for a march. Not for peace, but for blood. That's why they won. They want blood.
Clashes broke out in Chile during a demonstration by members of the indigenous Mapuche community. Police fired water cannons against protesters. They were marching in Santiago to defend their rights and to urge the government to return the lands that were stolen from them. Social organizations in Argentina have protested to demand the release of social leader Milagros Sala. She has been in detention for over 1,000 days. The organizations gathered in Buenos Aires. Sala has said that she rejects her arrest and that authorities have used her case to persecute other social leaders. In an exclusive interview with Telesur, Milagros Sala spoke. Let's listen to what she said.
These people in power, Macri and his gang, the truth is that they are a gang of delinquents, a group of businessmen and their families that are getting rich at the expense of those who have less. It took them 2 years. In 2 years and 10 months, they have destroyed our country, they have put us in debt, they have backtracked advances in education and health. Everything has receded. It is astounding how they have hurt our country and how they have destroyed it. The country is no longer ruled by those who cast their vote. Great powers such as the International Monetary Fund and neoliberal interests are now in charge of our country. They want to take out the Argentine flag and they want to raise a colonizing flag.
The second flight to leave Buenos Aires, Argentina, with Venezuelan migrants landed in Caracas. This as part of a plan from the Venezuelan government called Return to the Homeland.
For Antonio, going back to his birthplace now seems realistic. He's one of many Venezuelans returning so he can be reunited with his family.
The main reason is that I miss my family so much, but I also miss my country after being here for a long time. For me, it is important to analyze Argentina's political and social situation. I am against the abuse and discrimination against not only Venezuelans, but also against other migrants.
This journey is taking a group of 86 Venezuelans back. All they want is to go home after failing to find work in Argentina.
I'm so thankful. Since last year I was looking forward to going home, but I couldn't. Now my dream is being fulfilled and I'm here to go back to my beautiful country.
I am really excited because I wanted to go back so long ago. Although I owe a lot to Argentina, my situation just got really difficult. I know that Venezuela needs us all to work for it, because it won't come through as a nation without us.
So far, priority has been given to Venezuelans with financial issues and desperately needed to go back to the Bolivarian Republic. Many of them lived on the streets.
Unlike last time, we see more young families. Most of them have little children from 2 to 7 years of age. The parents have professional backgrounds. Although there are some elderly who came to join their children, unfortunately, the children can't support them. There are families that live on the streets.
Sent by the Bolivarian government, the airplane took off from this Ezeiza International Airport, carrying 86 passengers back to where their heart is.
Public university students in Colombia have threatened to start an open-ended strike. They want Congress to pass the national budget. Students say they will stop going to class until more resources for public universities are guaranteed. They say that the government's proposal for this year's budget is unclear. They want new policies that benefit public institutions. An environmental court in Chile has ordered the closure of a Canadian gold mine in the Atacama region. The mine is located at the border with Argentina and had previously operated in both countries. But following this court order, Canadian mining company Barrick will only be able to work in Argentina. Environmentalists have called this decision a great victory. Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness has confirmed that his government is achieving economic growth and sustainability. According to Holness, interest rates continue to decrease while employment is increasing. He added that by the end of the year, debt to gross domestic product will fall below 100%. The 13th International Indigenous Film Festival in Guatemala is showcasing films that reflect the hopes and struggles of these communities.
Students from rural areas performed a song of their own writing during the award ceremony of the International Indigenous Film Festival.
This is about rewarding and acknowledging outstanding indigenous filmmakers throughout Latin America and the world.
We reward works that expose the people's realities, the genuine, real struggles from those communities.
The films awarded during the festival are being showcased all across Guatemala until October 16th.
This is the biggest platform of its kind in the continent, not only for films, but for other audiovisual products too.
Over 300 films were registered in the festival. They all have two things in common. They are hopeful for the future, but also show great concern over the damage done to planet Earth.
Among other things, we showcase how our communal economy works. Through audiovisual media, we can make the fight for our rights visible.
On a general level, there is great concern about Mother Earth and the growth of extractivist corporations.
Members from the Indigenous Latin American Film Coordination, or CLACPI, announced that the next edition of the festival will take place in Ecuador.
We'll take one last short break, but stay with us. And we're back. At least 15 civilians have been killed and other 20 have been injured in Yemen. Houthi rebels have blamed airstrikes by the Saudi-led coalition. This coalition has used air power to oust the rebels from much of the country's south, but the Houthis have held on to Sana'a and the key Red Sea port of Hodeida. Jordan and Syria have agreed to the reopening of the border crossing of Nasib, which has been closed for 3 years due to the civil war in Syria. The border crossing, an important trade route for the whole Middle East, has been reopened this Sunday after the Syrian army ensured its control over the region. Following this announcement, the Iraqi and Syrian authorities have come together to discuss the early reopening of the border crossings between those two countries. In Liberia, a documentary has shocked the community, which revealed that the head of a foundation had been systematically raping girls. Macintosh Johnson, the co-founder of More Than Me, died of AIDS in 2016, raising alarms that he could have infected its victims, some as young as 10. He was facing a trial after some of the girls came forward. The foundation aimed to protect vulnerable girls from a life of sexual exploitations. Liberians are now calling for justice against the founder who allegedly knew about Johnson's crimes.
I just want this new government, this pro-poor government, to hear our cries, to be able to sympathize with our girls, our Liberian girls. They are being raped. They are being abused, not only by Katie Miller and her hoodlums, but by the NGO world, by different people that's coming into the country.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa attended a ceremony to return almost 5,000 hectares of land in KwaZulu-Natal. The ownership will be transferred to the local community. Agrarian reform is a key issue in national politics. The country suffered from land dispossession after World War I and during the 1940s, when white farmers expanded their commercial cane and timber operations.
We are making history. We are celebrating today the return of the land to our people in this area. This is history in the making.
Over 3,000 people have signed a petition against a planned statue of Mahatma Gandhi in Malawi's commercial capital of Blantyre. The petitioners, calling themselves the Gandhi Must Fall movement, claim that Gandhi, who spent his early years in South Africa, was racist and that he'd done nothing for the country. Work on the statue began 2 months ago on a road named after Gandhi. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni visited the site where 43 people died in a landslide that caused a river to burst its banks. During the visit, Museveni condemned local authorities for failing to stop people from building on the banks of rivers. Over 800 people have been displaced in the disaster caused by heavy rains.
And we say leave 50 meters on either side for the river, but the local government don't implement it. The people are also not sensitized to end up losing people. Being near the flood plain of the river or near the cliffs is very, very dangerous.
A blind, unemployed man fell to his death in Morocco. He was holding a sitting protest on the roof of a government building to demand the creation of jobs in the public sector. Sabir al-Haloui died on his way to the hospital in an ambulance. He was among dozens of unemployed graduates who have been protesting since September to demand more jobs. The sitting was organized by the National Coordination of Visually Impaired Graduates. As we see this, they have previously threatened to continue these protests. The government in Zimbabwe has arrested trade union leaders for organizing a protest against economic hardships. Demonstrators were also protesting a new tax on electronic transactions. One of those arrested was Peter Mutasa, the president of the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions. In an exclusive interview, we spoke with Peter Mutasa. Let's listen to what he has to say about the situation in Zimbabwe.
The fiscal policy is also adding a 2% for every transaction that you transact electronically in the banks and outside the bank in the shops. You are charged an additional 2% per every dollar. And everyone is complaining because that has had an effect of raising prices beyond the reach of the ordinary man in the street and the ordinary woman in the street.
Mutasa also dismissed allegations that his union was being used by the opposition Movement for Democratic Change.
The government is not being sincere in its position that we are being used by the opposition, because this issue about the monetary policy and the fiscal policy has affected everyone around the country. Businesses are complaining, ordinary citizens are complaining, the people in the informal sector whom we don't organize are complaining. So this is a legitimate claim, a legitimate argument that we are raising.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has threatened Hamas with strong actions after new protests on the Gaza Strip. Over 200 Palestinians, including children, have been killed by Israeli security forces since March this year.
Hamas apparently has not internalized the message. If they do not stop the violent attacks against us, they will be stopped in a different way, and it will be painful, very painful.
We continue with Israel. A U.S. student of Palestinian descent has been placed in police custody at Tel Aviv airport for being the president of a small association of students in favor of Palestine. 22-year-old Lara Al-Qassem was denied entry in Tel Aviv. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu justified the arrest of the young woman, claiming that it was common to decide who enters the territory.
Would that it were true, I don't know. But every country and every democracy, and many democracies, have special arrangements where they decide who to let in and who not to let in. If you come in and you're virulently against America and you try to come into the United States, there's a good chance you won't be let in if people know that in advance. That's also true of many of the European democracies. It's true of the democracy called Israel.
In Greece, at least 11 people have died in a crash between a truck and a car. The accident occurred near Kavala town when the van was driving to Thessaloniki. The local police reported that 10 people were illegal immigrants, while the remaining person was a potential smuggler that had crossed from Turkey, and the driver suffered mild wounds and was taken to a hospital. The Italian city of Trieste has been transformed to the world's capital of sailing, being Barcolana the largest regatta in the world. Nearly 3,000 boats have competed in the race. The boat Spirit of Porto Piccolo, with Furio Venusi at the helm, has won this 50th edition. And with that story, we've come to the end of this news brief. But this and many others, you can find them on our website at telesurtv.net/English. Here you can find all our latest information, so go check it out. And you can also follow us on social media. I'm Carla Gonzalez, and until the next time, thank you for watching Telesur, connecting the Global South.
We are present at every event where our nations are staring. We believe in a new global vision, united in every broadcasting.